After 7 years of marriage, Ethan finally asked me for a divorce because of his mistress Chloe. He said, "Vivian, she's different from other girls. She came to me pure and innocent." I nodded silently. I pressed my inner excitement, terrified he'd see through me. God knows if he didn't bring up divorce soon, I'd barely be able to hold back myself. When I took the divorce agreement from Ethan, my whole body was shaking. "Vivian, I'm sorry for wronging you." Seeing my uncontrollable trembling, Ethan said somewhat helplessly, "This girl came to me pure and innocent. I need to give her what she deserves." "I understand," I nodded. My body still wouldn't cooperate. It kept trembling, especially my legs. They were shaking like a sieve, but I didn't notice. I was focused intently on reading the divorce agreement. Ethan and I have been married for 7 years. We've been childhood sweethearts. We started dating in high school and got married right after college graduation. At the wedding, Ethan cried like a baby, saying he was blessed beyond measure to marry me. But in the 3rd year of marriage, he had someone on the side. The first time I caught him, he panicked and begged on his knees for forgiveness. I forgave him, so there was a second time, a third time, and an nth time. But he said no matter how much he played around outside, I would always be his wife. Yet this time, he finally asked me for a divorce because of a mistress. I met the girl, just 20 years old, delicate as could be. She loved calling Ethan in the middle of the night. Every call she'd cry. She cried so much it broke Ethan's heart. To comfort the girl, Ethan spent less and less time at home. His sudden return today startled me. What if we'd run into each other? How embarrassing that would be. I started seeing someone on the side a year ago. Ethan didn't know, not that I deliberately hid it. He just hadn't paid attention to me in a long time. Or rather, deep down, he didn't think I could ever betray him. I'd heard him on the phone with a friend. "Vivian, she can't live without me. No matter what I do outside, she'll still wait obediently at home for me." That moment I suddenly started reflecting on myself. Why could he but I couldn't? Why could he say so matter-of-factly it's normal for men to fool around outside, but I couldn't? After deep reflection and painful deliberation, I bravely stepped outside the shackles of marriage. My first affair was with Harrison, the heir to the Morrison fortune. That night he got in a fight at a bar. I was watching the excitement from the sidelines. As a bystander I just commented, "Young people sure are hot-blooded." Then he caught me. "Lady, I'm even hotter in bed. Want to try?" I looked at his face, handsome despite being covered in bruises, his well-developed pecs and firm, round as peeking through his clothes. I boldly tried for one night, and that one try became impossible to shake off. Harrison's clinginess rivaled, even exceeded, Ethan's mistress. At first he only clung to me in bed. Gradually he pushed for more. He insisted I make things official with him. Like last night, this young master went crazy in the middle of the night and stormed to my house, demanding I make him my legitimate boyfriend. I didn't give in, so he tormented me all night long. If he hadn't had a business trip early this morning, he would have run right into Ethan. Ethan's phone kept ringing. Chloe couldn't hold back anymore and had called several times. Her voice was loud enough that I could hear she was crying on the other end. "Why is this divorce taking so long? Is she refusing? You promised me you'd divorce her even if you had to leave with nothing. Are you lying to me?" Hearing the words "leave with nothing," my eyes lit up. Ethan coaxed her in a low voice. "Almost done. Be good and wait at home. I'll buy you the duck neck you love on my way back. 1 hour, maximum 1 hour. You must come back, okay?" Ethan hung up. "Vivian, if there's no problem just sign," Ethan urged me. Actually, the divorce agreement wasn't bad. Ethan was giving me half the assets. You could see his sincerity. Originally I would have accepted, but thinking of my current status and all these years of humiliation, not taking advantage when you can brings a lifetime of bad luck. Not taking advantage of a scumbag brings 8 lifetimes of bad luck. So in that moment I pretended to be upset and said, "Ethan, back when Sterling Group almost went bankrupt due to poor management, I accompanied you to business dinners and drank until I had stomach bleeding, all to secure sponsorships and financing. Vivian, that's all in the past. When love is gone, it's gone. You can keep my body but not my heart. Why bother?" Ethan tried to reason with me. "I think I should have a share of Sterling Group," I stated plainly. Ethan froze. He probably didn't expect I wanted Sterling Group itself. "I want 50% of your original shares in Sterling Group, not the cash equivalent." "What do you want shares for?" Ethan asked, surprised. "Nostalgia, I guess," I said flatly. Ethan hesitated. To him, shares were naturally more important. He wanted absolute control of the company. Giving me 50% would mean he wasn't the majority shareholder anymore. "Fine," Ethan agreed readily. He probably figured that even if I had shares, I couldn't really participate in company decisions. "I want the cash too," I continued making demands. "Vivian, don't push your luck," Ethan clearly didn't want to. "Money is all I have left," I looked at Ethan. "While you have great love." Seeing my bloodshot eyes and trembling body, Ethan reluctantly said, "Fine, I'll give it to you. But Vivian, don't come pestering me afterward. It's a deal." Ethan quickly had his lawyer draft a new divorce agreement. I signed it readily. I rode in his car to City Hall. The moment I opened the passenger door, I saw large words stuck there. This princess's exclusive seat. Everyone else back off. Obviously not posted by me. Ethan noticed too and explained, the girl likes to play around. No problem, I'll sit in back. The ride was quiet. Ethan suddenly asked me, why aren't you talking? I was looking at messages Harrison sent me. He just landed and was message bombing me. Landed safely. I miss you. Do you miss me? Every second away from you is torture. Give me official status when I get back, okay? What's good about that rotten cucumber Ethan? I'm more handsome, richer, younger and have better stamina than him. Vivian. Ethan's voice got loud. I frowned. What? Who are you chatting with? Can't you hear me talking to you? What is it? I asked, puzzled. I said, after the divorce, if you have any difficulties, you can come to me. After all, we were married. I'm not that unreasonable, Ethan repeated impatiently. Okay, I nodded and agreed. The car fell silent again. Ethan couldn't help but speak again. Don't you have anything to say to me then? I wish you and her a long and happy life together, I said. No need to pretend in front of me, Ethan was magnanimous. I wasn't pretending. Bitch and dog, forever together. Ethan suddenly said kindly, Vivian, you should see more of the outside world. Your life is too narrow. Haven't you noticed you don't have any friends like this? After divorcing me, can you even find your next man? I laughed lightly. We're getting divorced. My business is no longer your concern. I'm worried about you being alone with no one to take care of you. All these years, haven't I always been alone? I said coldly. Ethan naturally understood my sarcasm. He paused. I mean, I have lots of friends. Want me to introduce you to someone? Sure, I agreed generously. Ethan seemed stunned, then said, okay, when there's someone good, I'll introduce you. After reaching City Hall, we quickly completed the divorce registration. When we left, Ethan said he'd drive me home, but his mistress kept calling him, so he left in a hurry. I looked up at the blue sky and white clouds above, finally understanding what it meant to feel reborn. Over 20 years of feelings truly vanished in that instant. I didn't tell Harrison that Ethan and I had registered for divorce. I couldn't really say why. Maybe I just never thought about making things official with Harrison. We were just playing around. I wouldn't make the same mistake twice. But Ethan's mistress Chloe clearly couldn't wait any longer. On the 5th day after we registered for divorce, she posted on social media to mark her territory. We'd added each other on Snapchat at Chloe's initiative. At first I refused, but she was persistent. One day my finger slipped and I accepted. The photo showed her and Ethan holding hands, both wearing matching couple rings. It happened to be that day a mutual friend of Ethan and mine was having a birthday party. We both went. Ethan brought Chloe along. Before I arrived, I heard a group of people joking in the private room. When are you two having your wedding reception? Wait, did Vivian really agree to divorce? I remember she loved you to death, right? Her whole life revolved around you. How did you convince Vivian not to cling to you desperately? Teach us, man. Before Ethan could speak, I answered frankly. Fair distribution of assets. Everyone looked embarrassed when I appeared. The birthday person quickly smoothed things over and called everyone to the table. I was quite comfortable, but Chloe kept looking at me, her eyes full of provocation. Finally unable to hold back, she stood up. Vivian, Ethan lost so much divorcing you. I didn't even complain. I just hope you won't keep pestering Ethan. Let me drink first as a sign of respect. She downed her glass. I ignored her. Chloe got unhappy. Vivian, you're divorced from Ethan. Don't tell me you still have feelings for him? That's enough, Ethan called to Chloe. Talk about this privately. No, I want her to promise in front of everyone that she'll never bother us again. Chloe acted coy. I just want you to belong completely to me. Her voice was soft and sweet. Ethan ate this up. He sighed. Vivian, just get Chloe a promise to put her mind at ease. I glanced at Ethan. I'd almost forgotten, but suddenly remembered, once when he was drunk, he knelt on the ground saying he'd love me forever, that if I wanted the stars, he'd pluck them from the sky for me. This scene now was truly jarring. I smiled faintly. Don't worry. I don't take trash. Ethan's smiling face instantly turned cold. Chloe didn't look much better either. I continued. Let me correct you. When Ethan divorced me, I didn't lose much. It was all what I deserved. Also, half of what Ethan spent on you was my money. Not making you pay it back is my mercy. You should be grateful, not push your luck. Chloe's face turned red with anger. Ethan protected her. Vivian, even if you can't accept divorcing me, there's no need to make things hard for the girl. No hard feelings, I enunciated each word. Stop being stubborn. I know you can't accept that I don't love you anymore. The door suddenly burst open and a familiar voice rang out. Sorry I'm late. Harrison walked in like he had been invited and had simply chosen a fashionable arrival time. He looked the way he always looked, which was annoyingly good, wearing a jacket he'd probably grabbed on the way out the door and somehow making that look intentional. He found me in the room in about 2 seconds. He always found me quickly. I had never asked why. He walked straight over, ignored literally everyone else, picked my coat up from where I had draped it on the back of my chair, and draped it over my shoulders instead. "Why didn't you eat before you came?" he said, not quite a question, checking the table in front of me with the expression of someone running an inventory. "I ate. That doesn't count." He looked at the half-touched plate. "Also, you drank on an empty stomach again." He said this with the specific exasperation of someone who has had this conversation before and knows they will have it again. He sat down in the empty seat beside me like the chair had been waiting for him. The room had gone quiet in the way rooms go quiet when something unexpected walks in and nobody knows yet what to do about it. It is a fact that Harrison Morrison is objectively difficult to ignore. He is younger than Ethan, better looking, and from a wealthier family, and he carries all of this with the casual unawareness of someone who has simply never known any different. He's not performing. That's the part that makes it worse for other people. The birthday host recovered first. "Harrison? I didn't know you were coming. I heard Vivian was here." He said it so simply that for a moment nobody reacted. Then the room caught up, and I watched several people exchange glances. One of Ethan's friends, the one who had been making the comments about me not being able to find a new man, cleared his throat. "Wait, you two know each other?" Harrison reached over and moved my wine glass slightly out of my reach with the absolute confidence of a man who has decided he is doing this and cannot be stopped. "Know each other?" He smiled. "I practically live at her place." I nearly choked on the water I had switched to. The room erupted. Not loudly, more in the way of rapidly exchanged looks and suppressed reactions and someone making a noise that was not quite a laugh. Harrison appeared entirely unbothered. He flagged down a server and asked what the kitchen could still make. I leaned toward him and said, very quietly, "You practically live at my place. Sometimes I sleep there 3 nights in a row." He thought about it. "For last week. We are in public." "I know." He looked at me pleasantly. "We've been in public plenty of times. You just usually don't let me talk." I picked up my water and looked at the wall. Ethan had not said anything since Harrison arrived. I noticed this without looking directly at him. It was a very particular kind of silence, the kind that comes from a person recalculating something rapidly and finding the math unexpectedly complicated. Chloe recovered faster than Ethan did. She leaned forward across the table with the smile she deployed when she was performing generosity she did not feel. "Miss Vivian, is this your new boyfriend?" I could sense Harrison about to answer, so I spoke first. "We're still discussing his probation period." The table laughed. Harrison's expression did not change. "I can become permanent tonight," he said. "Just say the word." He said it the way other people say "please pass the salt." Completely even. Like this was a reasonable and practical offer he was simply making available. Chloe's smile had stiffened somewhere in the middle of this exchange. Ethan was looking at his glass. The birthday host, who had been managing the table with the heroic energy of someone trying to keep a situation from becoming a situation, refilled everyone's drinks and asked Harrison about a business thing I only half followed. Harrison answered while simultaneously pushing a bread roll onto my plate with one hand. I looked at the bread roll. I looked at him. He was still talking about the business thing. I ate the bread roll. On the way home, Harrison drove. He did not ask if he could drive. He just walked to my car, held out his hand for my keys with the patient confidence of someone who has decided something, and when I gave them to him out of sheer surprise at the audacity, he looked extremely satisfied. "You could have taken your own car," I said. "My driver's off." He adjusted the mirrors. "Also, you had 3 drinks. 2.5. 2.5 on an empty stomach." He glanced at me. "Same thing." I watched the city move past the window. In the quiet of the car, away from the table and the managed social performance of the evening, I was more tired than I had realized. The conversation with Ethan, the performance of being entirely fine, the effort of appearing unbothered when Chloe kept trying to provoke something, the warmth of Harrison arriving and immediately making himself at home in my immediate vicinity. All of it had accumulated. "He looked miserable," Harrison said. "I didn't ask who. He made his choices." "Sure." A pause. "He just didn't expect you to make yours." I turned to look at the side of his face. He kept his eyes on the road. "What?" "It's obvious. He thought the divorce would go a certain way. You'd be devastated, he'd feel guilty but also validated, Chloe would be happy for 5 minutes. Classic. He changed lanes smoothly. Then you walked in looking like that and I walked in behind you and he had to recalibrate his entire understanding of the situation." I turned back to the window. "You sound pleased about that." "I am pleased about that." No hesitation. "He took you for granted for years. I think watching him realize what that cost him is genuinely one of the more satisfying things I've experienced recently." "That's a little ruthless." "I've been called worse." He pulled up to my building. "Can I come up?" It wasn't really a question. "You said please last time," I reminded him. "I'm trying to maintain some consistency." He turned off the engine and looked at me. "Please." I got out of the car. He took this as yes, which it was. I think about the version of myself that existed 2 years ago sometimes. The one who heard Ethan on the phone telling his friend that no matter what he did, I would wait at home obediently. The one who had spent years adjusting to accommodate a man who was constantly elsewhere in every sense that mattered. The one who made herself smaller and quieter and more patient until patience became the only personality trait she had left. That version of me would not have recognized the last few months. Harrison was relentless in the specific way of someone who has decided they want something and does not see any compelling reason to pretend otherwise. He brought food to my office on days when he knew I would skip lunch. He texted me at unreasonable hours. He argued with me about things he was right about and some things he was wrong about, and he could tell the difference and did not especially care either way. He also, which I had not entirely expected, listened. Not performed listening. Not the kind where a person nods and waits for you to finish so they can speak. The actual kind, where information lands and changes something. I had mentioned once, passing, that the car rides from events gave me headaches if the driver took the corners too fast. Harrison had not commented. 2 weeks later I noticed he had stopped telling his driver to cut across the downtown routes. He had not told me he noticed. He just fixed it. This was the thing about Harrison that my earlier self had not anticipated and that I was not entirely sure what to do with. It was not grand. It was just consistent. He paid attention in the way of someone who finds the person in front of them genuinely interesting and wants to understand them correctly. I was not used to being paid attention to like that. Ethan called me a month after the party. I let it ring 3 times, then answered. I wanted to check in. His voice had the self-conscious quality of someone who prepared what they were going to say and then found that it landed differently in practice. I'm fine. A pause. You seem different. Recently. People change. Another pause, longer. Is it serious? With Harrison. I considered how to answer this. Why? Just wondering. Ethan. I sat down on my sofa. Outside the window, the city was doing its evening business. What are you actually asking? A long silence. Then, did you cheat on me? Before the divorce. I had wondered when this question was coming. It had been building, I could feel it, in the spaces between the looks he kept giving me at events we had both attended. You cheated, I said calmly, so many times and for so many years that you forgot I was still a person. He didn't respond immediately. That's not an answer. It's the answer to the right question. I looked at my nails. You weren't asking whether I was faithful. You were asking whether I was capable of wanting something you didn't give me permission to want. Another silence, long enough that I thought the call might end. I thought you'd never, he stopped. I thought you loved me too much. I did love you. I said it simply. For a very long time. That doesn't mean I loved myself less. He hung up shortly after. I sat with the phone in my hand for a moment. Then Harrison texted, "Did you eat dinner?" I looked at the message for a second. Then, "Ordering now, what do you want?" He sent back a voice message which I was fairly confident was him standing in a restaurant reading the menu out loud with running commentary. By the time I had listened to it twice the food was ordered and I was laughing at something he had said about the soup options. Chloe started calling Ethan more. I know this only because mutual friends mentioned it. Not to me directly, but in the ambient way that people share information in social circles when they are not technically gossiping but are absolutely gossiping. She cried on the phone. She wanted reassurance. She wanted to know if he still loved her. She wanted to know why he seemed distracted. She wanted to know, specifically, why he seemed distracted at events where I was present. This was, from what I understood, an exhausting experience for Ethan. I had some sympathy for the irony. He had spent years telling me that Chloe needed him, that she was sensitive, that she came to him pure and innocent. What she actually was, it turned out, was young and insecure and completely unprepared for the emotional reality of a man whose attention had been elsewhere for a year without her understanding why. She had wanted to win. She had not thought through what winning involved. Harrison turned up at my office on a Tuesday with lunch and the information that he had meetings in the building and therefore this was not as extravagant as it looked. The building in question was 2 blocks away. I accepted the lunch. He sat across my desk while I ate and reviewed files, which was the arrangement we had developed. He was good at being present without being intrusive. He worked on his phone, occasionally showed me something that was funny or interesting, and did not require me to perform engagement. This was rarer than it should have been. At some point without looking up from his phone he said, "You're doing the thing." What thing? The thing where you look okay but you're not. He put his phone down. What happened? I had been reviewing a contract dispute related to Sterling Group shares. Specifically related to a clause that Ethan's legal team had apparently hoped I would not notice, which I had noticed. Nothing interesting. I pushed the file aside. Work thing. You got those shares for a reason. He leaned back. If someone is trying to undercut them, that's worth taking seriously. I run a company, Vivian. He met my eyes. I know what people do with shares when they think the holder won't use them. A pause. Do you want a referral to a corporate lawyer who will genuinely look out for your interests? I had been handling it myself. I had been handling it quietly and alone because that was the habit of 7 years. Yes, I said, which surprised me slightly. He nodded and picked up his phone. Not making it a bigger moment than it needed to be. Just doing the thing. I watched him text someone and found myself thinking about the distance between this and what I had expected from people for a very long time. The dinner where Ethan finally broke was at a charity event in November. I had not expected him to be there. He had not expected me to be there with Harrison. These things happen. Harrison and I arrived together because we had been together beforehand, which was becoming the default arrangement without either of us having made a formal declaration about it. He had his hand at the small of my back in the absent way of someone who does this without thinking, and I was not moving away from it. Ethan caught us at the entrance. He took in the full picture with the look of someone confirming something they had been dreading. Harrison in a suit that had not been casually selected. Me in a dress I had bought for myself for no reason except that I liked it. The easy proximity between us that spoke of familiarity without performance. Ethan. I was civil. He looked at Harrison. Harrison looked back pleasantly. Morrison, Ethan said. Sterling. Harrison's voice was entirely